it's just really helpful always to hear from someone who's done this before.
Yeah.
And it, as I say, you've described it really straightforwardly, and it seems very um, easy.
This is the finished article.
Hmm.
You can see by the Kindle edition, by the paperback, it says it's in stock at the moment. It's saying, I don't know when that would deliver. Yeah, they'd deliver this by Wednesday, actually. So they
Mm.
could print and deliver the book
Mm.
that I made
Mm.
in 48 hours,
Okay.
which is awesome. And it's also got the look inside thing, exactly as you'd expect for a book,
Mm.
exactly as you go. And then you've got the Kindle version there,
Hmm.
which is what you'd expect. It's print on demand, so there's no big warehouse full of these anywhere.
Okay.
When you order one, it's printed.
Yeah.
They're printed in Poland, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, see, it says they're printed in
Yeah.
Poland
All
in
right.
Wrocław. And we sell this for 10 quid, and then we've sold, I don't know how many copies we sold, I could have checked before this, but hundreds of pounds worth.
Hmm.
Several, probably in the low thousands. And it's just a little book that, I mean,
Hmm.
a lot of effort went into it in terms of the content and stuff. And it's really valuable content, but that would never have made its way through a publisher.
No.
There's been a bit of a really quiet revolution, I think, in
Mm.
publishing. Really, really quiet. Like, I don't know how people really realize that anyone can publish a book.
Mm.
Anyone can publish a book and sell it for money
Mm.
on on the proper stores, like within
Mhm.
a couple of days,
Yeah.
with minimal real. If you've got Fiverr on the one hand and you've got the software that's available, the Adobe Suite used to cost £2,000 a year.
Mm.
It now
Mm.
costs £30 a month. You can hire it for a month. I've done this before. Hire it for a month, use it, get the
Yeah.
product shipped, and then cancel it.
Yeah.
And then you can produce these photo books or albums or anything you want and
Mhm.
make it really viscerally real.
Mhm.
Uh, and that opportunity is just waiting for me. Anybody can be a book author without that being,
Mm.
you don't have to go to dinner parties saying I'm a writer.
No.
If you've got something worth saying, you can publish it as a paperback real book. And my
Mm.
my thing is, make it a real paperback,
Mm.
even if you even if you end up sending
Mm.
PDFs around, because
Sure.
that kind of has a symbolic presence in the world as an object,
Yes.
that makes it real in a way
Mm.
that some of the other stuff, everything's
Mm.
online. Like you say, you've got these transient articles, everyone gets emailed articles, but
Mm.
this kind of says, no, this writing matters. That these aren't just words I just tapped out and thought, oh, that'll do.
Mm.
They're words that you revised and invested in, and it's based on years of experience. These words matter than those words.
Yeah.
Hopefully it might save you a few hours,
Yeah.
in terms of just figuring it, like conceptually working out what it wants
Mhm.
from you.
Mhm.
That's where you're aiming for, and you'll
Mm.
hit niggles and stuff, which you're free
Mm.
to ask me about. But it can be that straightforward. So InDesign is a page layout. It's professional level. If you wanted to buy a month of using InDesign, then it would cost
Mm.
you 30 quid or something. Because I assume you've got a Word document or something, right, at the moment?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Is that what you wrote it in, more or
Yeah.
less?
Yeah. Yeah, it is, yeah.
Great. So you've got a Word document. Basically, if you've got a
Mhm.
Word document, what you need to do, the final output format you want for that technically is a PDF.
Yeah.
But before that, you want probably to move from a Word document to a InDesign, and the difference is that Word is uh, is a word processing thing for sharing Office documents. It's not something for designing facing pages in a book. So
Okay.
that's where InDesign comes in. You can see that
Yeah,
this
yeah.
this is sets of
Mm.
facing pages that you've got,
Mhm.
um, and that's the whole book. It's highlighted in red, I think,
Mm.
because of the font problem.
Mm.
And basically, you've got the whole book here. You can
Mm.
see that's every page of the book, including the cover. So you've got the
Okay.
cover at the top, then the
Yeah.
contents page. The contents page is automatically generated, and then all the way down to the back cover. So the only reason I'm showing you that is because what that then gives you two options. One is just shift the camera to the right. One is to export,
Yes.
and that will save it as a PDF, and then
Okay.
you go through that process.
Mhm.
And then the other is to save it as a ebook. So
Okay.
one of the output formats here is EPUB.
Right.
So an EPUB format is your Kindle. So, and I'll show you a bit. This is working towards showing you on Amazon's system that
Yeah.
basically you submit two files. You submit a PDF of the print edition and an
Mhm.
EPUB of the Kindle edition or
Okay.
the ebook edition.
Can I ask you, how is this different then from the menu option that comes up on my Mac
Yeah.
um, that says print it as a produce it as a book and as an ebook, an EPUB thing? Because I've had a go at that, and the text doesn't seem to fit the pages, and bits slip off the end, and it sort of it's all a little bit like melting ice cream, it just goes bleh.
There you go. Well, you've answered your own question, I think,
Okay,
there, Jane.
that's how it's different. But thank you.
So yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You're right. You can save a PDF from anything. You can save a PDF on an iPad or something. But not all PDFs are equal.
Okay.
So as a format, it's more of a container. And I mean, for instance, I've sent PDFs off to the printers before for huge banners,
Mhm,
and they
mhm.
printed the wrong layers because the way I exported the PDF, and then it's 200 quid to get it reprinted.
Oh, okay.
So InDesign just gets all that right.
Right.
It's a bit of a sledgehammer to crack a nut, to be honest. If you really thought about it, you could probably make a print-ready PDF from Pages or Microsoft Word or
Mm,
whatever.
mm,
But having at least the notion of there being another step where you lay the book out, as in
mm,
where you set the font, and if you load it up on another machine, it doesn't change the font or the heading
mm,
styles or the whatever. And then when you print to PDF, it goes through a kind of high quality process. It's not trying to reduce the file size to share it online. It's trying to produce the highest quality for print production of that file.
mm.
Is all the stuff that InDesign does, and then InDesign will also create the online edition. I'd consider making an audio version as well. If it was
Mhm.
my book, I would pay someone to narrate it. Again, 50 quid, 100 quid, 150 quid.
Mhm.
At some point. Again, I just think that helps. I mostly read books via audio versions these days, and so do a lot of other people. But otherwise, basically, you go in here, you say, "Well, I've got a new paperback,"
Okay.
and then you just fill out the thing. Jane's book on anxiety. None of that. You can change all this stuff later. Primary author,
Mhm.
all that. Contributors you don't have. Description, obviously, you want to come up with a decent description. I own the copyright. Enter some keywords. You've got to choose a category for it at some point, which is a bit of a hassle because the Amazon categories aren't very
Mm.
clear.
Okay.
So non-fiction,
Yeah.
I don't know, body, mind, and
Yeah.
spirit, angels and spirit guides, maybe. Don't know. Reference.
Yeah.
So you'd have to spend a bit of time with that. It took me a
Mhm.
little while to figure out what category the book should be in. Is it adult content? I'd say no to that because it's not
Mhm.
inappropriate for people under 18. And then you save that. The
Okay.
next thing it will do is if you click that button, it gives you an ISBN,
Mhm.
which you can then print on the book if you want, and that makes it official. Make sure that it's in Google Books and all the online repositories.
Okay.
I won't do that for now. Now, this is a bit that's relevant to you, Jane. First of all, you choose the
Mm.
color and white paper or black and white. So if you
Mm.
had illustrations, you might want to print in color.
Mm.
And then the trim size, you as in book size, is it
Mm.
physical dimensions? I think these are more or less 6 by 9.
Okay.
But if you wanted a small book, then
Yeah.
these are your options, and you can set your own. So if you wanted, I don't know, any idea what you had in mind for the size?
Well, I was sort of half thinking about possibly mobile phone size,
Yeah,
maybe.
what's that?
Uh,
4 by 3 or something?
Inches is this?
Yeah,
Um,
you do
hang on,
do it in centimeters if you want.
probably 8, maybe 8 inches by 3.
8 inches high by 3 inches wide.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be quite a narrow book.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, so let's see what happens. You type in 8 inches and 3 wide there. So it won't allow that.
Okay.
Width must be 4, so let's change
Oh,
that to 4.
all right.
Height must be 6 to 11, so that's okay. So you could have 8 by 4.
Mhm.
So there you go. That's
Mhm.
now so it's twice as high as it is wide.
Yeah.
That could work. 8" by 4". It's very happy to do that. Obviously, you would just set that up in InDesign or Pages. You'd set your pages to be that, and then the margins. I don't know how many words you get on the line with that.
Yeah.
Bleed, you don't need to worry about. You can choose if the cover is matte or glossy.
Okay.
You'd expect, and then basically you're already at that button where you click the button to upload the file.
I see it says launch cover creator as well.
There is a cover creator. I would never use that personally, just because I don't think the results would be very good. I mean, you could come up with a cover, right? You could come up with a cover that has the name on it, and it wouldn't look awful, but you've got to remember, I spent 20 years in advertising and marketing, right? So, I'm used to sitting in front of people, banks of 20 people with Macs, working on the fine details of whether something's 5 millimeters to the left or right, with 16 people having opinions about it. So in terms of brand colors and getting it right, you don't need to go to that level, but whatever you do, I would think that you're always better off getting a cover designed in some form, rather. I mean, even if you do that on a piece of paper and then try and recreate that in the cover creator, but it'll be quite limited, I think. It'll be basically chuck an image on, add some text, and that's not going to lend it a not even a premium quality, because that might not be what you're aiming for here, but just to show that it's obviously people judge books by their covers, and I think it's worth designing, basically. I have a PDF here which I've called Inner, so I would upload that. Is it showing you that?
It's happening.
It's happening.
Save successful. Okay.
There you go. So that's interesting. Nothing's changed.
So you didn't click on upload a cover you already have?
Right, I'm going to upload a cover, which again is a PDF.
Okay.
You could use the cover creator. I've not really tried, but you could try it. And by all means, just create an account and have a play. Oh, there we go. So the manuscript. So basically, Amazon has two things. It has the inner pages, which is the manuscript, and then the cover, which is the cover. And then, yeah, there we go. Launch preview. Let's see if this loads. Because it sort of all comes down to the previewer, that where you get to have a sense of what the book will actually look like, and it comes up with this list of things down the left-hand side, things to check.
Okay, so I guess that's the same as looking at a slide deck on what do you call it?
PowerPoint or something.
Thank you.
Yeah. But you just want to check that everything's, I mean, this has added the barcode, so they add a barcode with the ISBN, which is handy. The red line is the bleed line, and you don't want any content to go outside of that line, so that when they trim it, they're not going to chop anything off. That's the cover and the back cover, and then obviously this is all perfect because it took me hours, but the first time you do this, it won't be quite right, and then you'll have to go back through the stages to do this. But basically, this is just a combination of the inner pages plus the cover, and then you just kind of go through checking it. Well, this looks fine to me. You got the pages here, and you get a sense that, well, I think my book's ready to go. And there you go. That's all 81 pages of it, and then you approve that. And then after about Amazon they approve all the books via an actual human person. So they say up to 72 hours, but often it's quicker. It's usually no more than 24 hours between pressing the approve button and it going live on the store. And then it takes a few days for them to generate the look inside and to link up the Kindle edition with the print edition and present them on the same page. So there's this kind of clunky process that it goes through for about a week until it arrives in the page that I showed you earlier. And that's it. But that's it. That's it, and then there's marketing, and giveaways or whatever you want to do to promote your book. But basically, that is all there is to it. You PDF, write it in Word as you've done, lay it out in some form using some software, upload that to a choice of either Amazon KDP or Blurb, and then you'll get it up in stores. and then wait for the money to roll in or the books to be distributed across the world as you wish. The other way to self-publish, it's worth mentioning, the other way to self-publish is Blurb,
Okay.
right? Is the simple thing to say. So this is independent of any marketplace. Blurb.com will, they've got their own software. They mention InDesign here. They've got PDF to book sort of tools. They are kind of bigger than just more broad
Mm.
based than Amazon. And I was looking at one of their guides here. So they've got self-publish a book, share your vision, choose a format,
Mm.
select your tool, and then they will send to Amazon and other stores. As you can see, they've got Apple Books, Barnes and Noble,
Yeah.
an online store, and it's a bit more flexible. They've
Mm-hmm.
probably got more options. I've not used it,
Mm.
but it's worth a look for sure.
Mm.
Um, there's a lot more options there, but it's a lot more. It's almost like halfway in between having a publisher, I would say. If
Yeah.
Amazon's completely just upload a PDF and tomorrow it's live on the Amazon store to buy, right? That's true. With Blurb, you would probably be entering a more involved process, but the results, you'd have more control over some of the fine variables of what you can do. Amazon, it's like everything, isn't it? Gmail, whatever. Amazon make it extremely easy. You could go through the whole process from, you could have your book online ready to buy by the end of today if you wanted. But in that, obviously, there's a lot of decisions you don't get to make. You might not want to feed the Amazon machine. I would understand. You might want to support independent booksellers.
I guess you
And
can do
obviously,
both,
there's
right?
yeah,
You can do
you
both.
could you do both? I don't know. I would probably choose if I was gonna. I would probably choose to use something like Blurb and then sell on Amazon as one of the marketplaces rather than upload it to both
Yeah.
things.
Okay.
Just so that I've got one thing to manage. So during lockdown, I think it's a great opportunity you've taken, Jane. I don't know if that was related for you to
Not
think,
no, not
get
not
down
at
to it.
all. Well, I mean, I suppose anxiety levels are talked about
Yeah,
regularly and often and
yeah,
described as being on the rise. So
yeah,
in that regard, it's relevant.
yeah.
But no, I hadn't really timed this with lockdown at all.
Right.
Just one day I got up and started writing this, and that's what happened, and
Oh,
it just came out like that.
oh, that's
But I
brilliant.
noticed again, was I was reading the news this morning, that November is write a novel in a month or something, and it's the 20th anniversary of that this year. So apparently, loads of people are going to be writing novels in a month, and no doubt publishing them themselves. So
It's so good because without that, as you found, the publishers have rules about
yeah,
what's relevant and they can
yeah,
be a bit out of date.
hmm
And if you, I mean, I don't know how your book's quite generally popular, I think. But for me, psychedelics or ayahuasca, or they can be quite narrow niches that you still want really good information about.
yeah,
And so to be able to release something without anybody saying, no, you can't,
yeah,
is a huge I think it's good for the civilization, really, to I remember. Do you remember those books back in the days we had? Sorry, the shops back in the day when we had shops. Let's fill this town with artists.
hmm
Remember, let's fill this town with artists. There were art shops. There was one in Islington, and I just love that idea that let's fill this town with artists, with writers, with content producers, with video, with
hmm
illustrations, with poetry,
hmm
and just get it out there and offer it and see. And in my experience, there can be a surprising response from that. People find it and they're excited about it and they're grateful for it.
hmm
So
and if you produce something, put it out there, and it's of use or of interest to one or two people, that's good enough.
and it definitely will be. It's like it definitely
Mhm.
will be.
Mm.
I've not seen your book yet. I look forward
Mm.
to seeing it.